What? Good morning. We'll do the meditation first. Close your eyes. Relax the body. Breathe with the music. We'll run our attention through the body and relax every muscle, starting with the two legs. Start with the right leg, relax the right leg, move your attention through the right leg and relax the right leg. From the toes to the thigh, right leg. Same way the left leg. Both the legs together. Take your attention to the navel. Relax the abdomen below the navel. Most important, roll your attention through the perineum. Try to awaken the sensitivity of the perineum. Relax the abdomen above the navel. Run your attention through the solar plexus. Awaken the solar plexus, the energy in the solar plexus. Relax the back. Move your attention through the back. Relax the back. Feel the backbone as a hollow bamboo and move your attention up to down, relaxing all the vertebra, all the discs. Relax the chest. The two hands, right hand, left hand, from the fingers to the shoulder, right hand, left hand. Relax the shoulders, right shoulder, left shoulder. The neck. Loosen the jawbone. Relax the chin. The two lips, lower lip, upper lip. Take your attention in the mouth, relax the gums, the teeth, the tongue. Relax the palate, the top of the mouth. Try to move your attention through the doorway of the palate and the central brain cavity, the Brahmarandra. Try to awaken that area, move your attention through that area. Relax the two cheeks, right cheek, left cheek. The two ears, right ear, left ear. The two nostrils, right nostril, left nostril. Take your attention to the back of the head, relax the back of the head. The top of the head. The forehead. The two eyes and around the eyes. There's a lot of tension around the eyes. Relax the area around the eyes. Move your attention once through the whole body. If you find tension anywhere, relax it. Hold your attention between the two eyebrows and turn it inward. Look at the mind and pause the mind. Don't allow a single thought in the mind. Now we'll work with the five senses. We start with smell. Sense the smell of sandalwood oil, sandalwood perfume. Let it fill your lungs, your being. Taste. Feel the taste of vanilla ice cream on the tongue. Sight. You're sitting on the beach and the sun is setting in the sea. Try to see all the colors of the setting sun. Touch. Wherever you're sitting, either the ground or the chair is meeting your body, touching your body. Feel that meeting of yourself and that support you have. Feel there's a cool breeze touching your skin. Sound. Somewhere far away, the birds are chirping. Try to recognize that sound. Try to hear that sound. Now try to hold all the five senses together. Smell, taste, sight, touch, sound, all together. Now go back to the muscles, run your attention through the body and try to relax the muscles even more than they are relaxed. Come back between the two eyebrows, look at the mind, and then hold the five senses together. We'll do this for 1 minute, just rotating the attention from the muscles to the mind, to the senses, to the muscles. Keep rotating the attention. Look at the mind. Don't allow a thought to enter the mind. Now come back slowly. And slowly open your eyes. Why has nature put fear in man? Survival and protection. So that is common to animals, right? Supposing we could tie electrodes to a plant, and we break a leaf, I'm sure we would feel that before we broke the leaf, the plant felt fear. So now, is there a higher cause of fear? What happens in a lower dimension of time and space so that something can happen in a higher dimension of time and space? Supposing the male, we take it, say, the male sperm and the female ova, they meet to form the first master cell. So what is the condition of that? What condition is there? The sperm has to die. The sperm has to die. So, to enter into a higher dimension, something in a lower dimension has to die. Unless the ego even temporarily does not die in a lower dimension, we cannot enter into a higher dimension of the soul. So, this is the law. And nature, so at that moment of death, she has put in fear. And this is very important because in our journey, for something to be created, something higher to be created, something lower will always have to die. Unless at a certain level the negative emotions die, right? At a higher level, the higher centers, we cannot communicate with them. Something has to die here for something to happen over there. And this is the whole process of regeneration. That something lower dies so something can, on a higher scale, can happen. And sometimes it needs a mass death. Unless 20 million sperm die, then the child cannot be born. Now, if one sperm was needed to fertilize the ovum, what is the meaning of 20 million dying? There has to be some meaning over there. No, nature doesn't, where one is needed, why has nature put 20 million? Right? So that 20 million dying, it creates the energy of death, which echoes as the energy of birth in another dimension. And death and birth in this way, they go together. So if we have worked upon ourselves, then the moment of death of the body, the millions of cells of the body, the moment of that death, that high energy which they produce at the moment of dying, it can create something in a higher dimension. The lower does not want to die, and that is why there is fear. Of course, there are two kinds of fear: instinctive fear and psychological fear. A rabbit makes a hole so that it can protect itself from the fox. And when the fox comes, it runs into the hole, so the fox cannot get into the hole and catch the rabbit. After some time, the rabbit comes back to the top of the hole to look, has the fox gone away or not gone away? But if you replace the rabbit by man, I will not go to the top of the hole. Supposing the fox is still there. And this is the beginning of psychological fear, worry. Worry. Animals don't worry, they fear. Now, if the rabbit was to keep on worrying that supposing the fox is still there, like all of us worry, Supposing the lizard is still in the room, right? Or supposing the rat is still in the room. Then we'll never go out to look out of the hole. We'll be stuck in that hole. And this is psychological fear. And out of psychological fear grows negative imagination. They run together. So I'll say, but I won't go out. Maybe the fox is still over there. But I'll say that maybe it's not just one fox now. Maybe it has brought 4 or 5 of its friends also. Right? So now the negative imagination starts. And once negative imagination starts, man gets caught in this vicious cycle of worry. And we have a whole group of eyes in our psychic structure which love to worry. They're just waiting for some excuse to worry about. Right? And it happens all the time. It has to be observed. They're just waiting there. But we only see one side of the pendulum, so we can't see that these people are just waiting behind. So he comes to me and he says that we have this good business opportunity, right? So I'll put in half the money, you put in half the money. And of course, there are greedy eyes within me, right? So the minute he says that we'll buy something for 4 rupees and sell it for 8 rupees, those greedy eyes latch onto it. And so he says, okay, you give me so much money, I give him the money. Now at that time, I don't realize that the worrying eyes are lying just behind over there. And this is my psychological state. Now he will go away. And then suddenly the worrying eyes will come. Right? Is it sure that you're going to do business with him? And of course, they get food from outside, nourishment from outside. Because then the wife will come, what did you do? I say, I gave money to this guy. It's okay, lakhan lidu ke nathi lidu. Right? So the wife, of course, all wives are very intelligent. Right? So it says, did you take it in writing? No, I did not take it in writing. You're a stupid fool. And the worrying eyes are there. And behind the worrying eyes are the lawyer eyes. So you can't let my ego go in front of the wife. So I'll explain to the wife how he is such a good person. And he will never take my money. Right? So whatever we do in life, we have to look a little ahead. The minute I'm through with this, are the worrying eyes waiting for something to worry about? They are always looking for something to worry about. And out of psychological fear grows negative imagination and negative fear. A person who has enough of money is frightened that he does not have enough of money. Imaginary fear. And we don't realize what energy we are losing when we worry. Apart from what karma we are creating when we worry. Right? If we could see, if we had the eyes to see that this seed of worrying which I'm sowing now, what kind of fruit it is going to bring in the future. Luckily, we are all blind to that. We wouldn't worry, but we love to worry. Right? And if a person is not worrying, then there are people around him. The wife, are you not worried about this? Are you lost your job? You're not worried? I have enough of money in the bank. But you have to worry. You have to worry. And this worrying is a continuous leakage of psychic energy. What is psychic energy? When I throw attention upon him, that attention has to grasp, it has to comprehend who he is. The energy which allows attention to comprehend, to register. Right? That is psychic energy. Many times we don't have any psychic energy because in our daydreaming we've been losing it all along. Right? And he comes in front of me and I'm looking at him, but I don't see him. And he'll say, hello, Are, you've been here. I didn't see you. I suddenly become aware that he is there. I've lost all my psychic energy. And it is this precious energy which allows us to register something. Right? There's the act of registering. From the act of registering, we move to the act of understanding. And in worry, we lose that energy. We may register wrongly. Right? And the common example of registering wrongly is you see a rope on the road and you register it as a snake. And this happens all the time. I register wrongly. He comes to my home to help me. Or maybe his wife has made some pudding or something. Says, I've come to give you Christmas pudding. Right? And I think that he has come to bother me in my very busy time. And before he can say anything, I don't register anything and I just give him a piece of my mind. And this happens all the time. We've registered wrongly. And that energy which is needed to register, that energy which is needed to experience that inner flash of the divine, that energy is suddenly lost in worrying. And we worry all the time. So fear and worry go together. There is instinctive fear. From instinctive fear, there is psychological fear. Psychological fear leads to negative imagination, and negative imagination leads to imaginary fear. And as long as there's fear, we are not living life. There can never be the present moment. Fear and the present moment don't go together. In Buddha's biography, it is written that he was suffering from fear. And he wanted to be free of fear. So he went into the deep jungle and tried to meditate. And then the sound of the leaves would come and he would think a snake has come or a dangerous animal has come. Right? And after 2-3 months, he realized that he could not conquer fear. But at least we can observe fear. At least we can allow fear not to become psychological. And if it does become psychological, not to lead to negative imagination. And if it does lead to negative imagination, not to indulge in imaginary fear. How can you meditate? How can you move to a higher state of consciousness? If there is fear at this level of consciousness, there's fear of something dying at this level. And unless something dies at this level, you cannot go to a higher level. That is the law. Something has to die. And it will not die as long as we are holding on to it. Right? Now, I've said this before, I'm going to give two experiments for fear. Right? Like we say, fear is in the Manipur chakra, around the navel. So the first one is you take a, what do you call, mug of hot water and take a rough napkin and dip it into the water when you go to the toilet in the morning, and make clockwise small circles, clockwise. Don't make on the navel, but all around this whole area. Push it right into the ribs, push it down like this, right? And make 3 big circles, with every circle small circles. The more this area relaxes, and it'll take 2-3 months, this area will relax. And the more this area relaxes, you will be free of fear. A lot of worrying eyes will drop. So that is the first experiment we do with fear. The second is in yoga, what they call as Kunjal Kriya. Right? But Kunjal Kriya can only be done for 3 weeks at a time. You can't do it every day. You can do it every day for 3 weeks. Right? So in that, they wake up in the morning, make lukewarm water, put a little salt in the water, and you drink 4 to 6 glasses of water, and then you vomit it out. And you have to keep on vomiting till a small bitter taste comes in the mouth, right? Means that is the, what do you call, the juice of the linings of the stomach has started coming, what they call as in Ayurveda as pitta, that has come out, right? And then you stop over there. So, and this is a very fast way of overcoming fear. The only thing is that for those 3 weeks, you have to eat bland food, have a lot of ghee, and you cannot go out in the sun, have a lot of buttermilk, right? So we can do these 2 experiments for fear. You can start with 3 weeks and then continue with this thing, what do you call, massaging that area for 3 to 6 months, right? Okay. Any questions anyone has on this? Because there were some questions on fear.
As you have to come here from the experiments, it can be done if the patient, someone has the blood pressure problem also, because the water contains the salt.
Little bit of salt.
Okay.
Little bit of salt.
And one,
you can use rock salt or something where the sodium is little less.
And suppose by effort also vomiting, you are not able to vomit, and hopefully has to be vomited.
Yeah, I don't understand what
You told that it has to be vomited out.
Right.
Suppose you don't feel like vomiting, then
After drinking so many glasses of water, you don't feel like vomiting. It'll take a little time. You put your finger inside and you'll vomit. You'll vomit. After 2 days of putting your finger, you won't have to put your finger. You just vomit it out. right?
And
Fear है वो करे પેલો રસ્તો એવો દેખાય છે વિરુદ્ધ થવાનું વધારો ડિબેટ પેલા લાગતી તો વધારો ચાવાનું સામું થવાનું પેલો વિચાર એટલે એ રીતે ફિયર હોતો છે તો એનો રસ્તો એને વિરુદ્ધ થવાનું છે એ પછી એ જોવાનું જો વિરુદ્ધ જવામાં એટલે to go against fear like Buddha did. Yeah, Buddha જંગલમાં ગયા અને he started observing fear, right? And he was એને sound આવે તો કોઈક animals આવે કે એવું કંઈ. But it didn't work. It did not work. One of the things which we can do is that when the child is born, because all parents keep the light on in the child's room. If you can keep the child in darkness, don't worry about the child crying. Then that makes a big effect when the child grows. એટલે એ અંધકારમાં જવાનું જે આખી પ્રયોગ છે નાનપણમાં જો કરી દીધું તો એની પછી જરા it becomes little difficult કારણ કે એમાંથી જો જડતા આવી જાય fear obstinacy મને કંઈ થતું નથી તો પાછું આ માર્ગની અંદર જડતા obstacle મોટું obstacle પછી understanding and observing those eyes, worrying eyes, fearful eyes, અને એ લાંબો સમય ચાલે. એટલે જડતા તો ન થઈ શકે. Right? You cannot force it. But નાનપણમાં કર્યું હોય, ટ્રેનિંગ આપ્યું હોય to walk in darkness. તો પછી એટલે હું આમ જોઉં તો નિત્યમ એકદમ નાનો હતો ત્યારે ભાઈ એને રાત બધે ફેરવતા આખા આશ્રમમાં ટોર્ચ વગર અંધારામાં એટલે ધીમે ધીમે ભાઈની પાછળ પડતો તો એ આપણને દેખાય કે એનામાં એ અસર રહી કાવ્યમાં નથી તરત ગભરાય છે એટલે it's very important to keep the child in darkness. Keep the child in darkness. And parents, they worry, so they don't keep the child in darkness. And habitually, we are habited to light. રૂમમાં આપણે કંઈક શોધવા જઈએ અને અંધારું હોય તો we can 2 મિનિટ અંધારામાં શોધી શકીએ પછી લાઈટ કરી શકીએ. So then it makes a difference. સમજાય છે એટલે એ 2 મિનિટ અંધારામાં થોડું fearful eyes ને આપણે જોઈ શકીએ. Especially આપણને lizards કે કશે જો લાગતું હોય તો. હા પણ અંધારું જે છે એ એક જનરલ આખું ફિયર ઉપર કામ કરવા વાળું બાળકને અંધકારમાં રાખ્યો હોય ને નાનપણમાં તો many fears will just drop from his life. એ રીતે as a general.
એટલે મારો હજી ક્વેશ્ચન એ છે કે એની વિરુદ્ધ જવામાં થોડુંક એ ચડતા છે કે પછી એનો રસ્તો
એ
બીજો
વિરુદ્ધ
છે.
જવામાં, that is what I'm trying to tell you, કે વિરુદ્ધ જવામાં if you're relaxed અને જડતા વધતી ન હોય, ઈગો ન આવવું જોઈએ કે હું ગભરાતો નથી. You understand? તો પછી એ વિરુદ્ધ ગયા અને ઈગો નું ખોરાક કર્યું. આ સમજાય છે? એટલે વિરુદ્ધ જવામાં સારું છે, પણ you have to understand what you are doing. જડતા ના આવવી જોઈએ. એમાં એક વસ્તુ થઈ શકે કે વિરુદ્ધ જવામાં don't talk to anyone કે આવી રીતે હું કરું. So ego is always dependent on others' attention. આ સમજાય છે? એટલે if I don't talk to anyone, then it's possible કે જો if I tell somebody કે હું જો આ fear ની સામે અહીંયા જાઉં છું without a torch or without anything, so then it's possible. પોતે હું આટલો સમજ્યો છું કે સાવ અભયપદ નથી લેવું, પણ we want to come to a state where worrying eyes, fear આપણને attention ને અલગ રાખવામાં આપણને હેરાન ન કરે. એને we can put them on the side. એટલે થોડું ભય રહે અંદર, અને એ થોડું ભય આપણા કોન્શિયસનેસ ના ઓલામાં રહે, પણ એ ભય સાથે આપણે આઈડેન્ટિફાઈ ન થાય. આ સમજાય છે? એટલે ભય સાવ ન નીકળી જાય, પણ ભય સાથેનું આઈડેન્ટિફિકેશન તૂટી જાય. એટલે કારણ કે in my journey I was very frightened. Even શરૂઆતમાં હું ઓશોના મેડિટેશન, કારણ કે I used to stay alone, and I used to stay alone in a flat in Bombay when I was in college. એટલે પછી I would switch off the lights and do meditation, તો પછી એકદમ ભય આવતો હતો મને. Right? એટલે શરૂઆતની અંદર this fear was there. અને ઘણા વર્ષો લાગ્યા to be this thing, to understand it. એટલે then what I used to do is કે કોઈક મને મળવા આવે તો એને બેસાડું, 15-20 મિનિટ મળો, મને જરા કામ છે, અને હું મેડિટેશન કરી લઉં. મને ખબર હોય કે એ બાજુના રૂમમાં છે. એટલે પણ એ ધીમે ધીમે ધીમે, અને પછી એક પોઈન્ટ એવો આવી ગયો કે એક જોય આવી ગયો, ટુ બી અલોન, ટુ બી ઇન ડાર્કનેસ, એક એનો આનંદ આવી ગયો. પણ એ આખું ઇટ ટુક મેની યર્સ. બીજું એક છે કે વી કેન ફીલ કે there is something higher looking after us. જેમ હું કહી શકું ભાઈ તાવડિયાજી is looking after me, right? તો એ સેન્સિટિવિટી helps, but still fear તો આવે, right? પણ I can't say કે totally free, પણ એટલું કહી શકું કે આઈડેન્ટિફિકેશન નથી આવતું, રિએક્શન નથી આવતું. શું?
I was scared of dogs.
Dogs.
So first time I was so scared when he comes to me, I was alone. અને જે એ ડરથી પછી જે ફીલિંગ આવ્યું, તો ડર લાગતો હતો. બીજા બધા એ ટાઈમે જે ડરના ટાઈમમાં બધા થોટ બિલકુલ નતા લાગે ત્યારે.
Heightened sensitivity, અને you can turn it into sensitive. Don't allow it to become sensitiveness. જુદી રીતે આપણે can take, I'll talk in English, right? Okay, somebody has drunk a lot, દારૂ બહુ પી ગયો છે, બરાબર છે, some party or something, and he's walking alone home in the night. Now it's dark. અને some feet away પાછળથી પગથિયાનો અવાજ આવે, ટક ટક ટક. right? So he looks back, he can't see who it is, but something is there coming after him. And you're in maybe that part of town which is all alone, koi sharing, yeah. So Suthai, a sensitivity. What happens?
चढ़ेली उतरी जाए
Huh?
उतरी जाए
एक क्षण में नशो થઈ જાય. એક ક્ષણમાં નશો. Heightened awareness will come. That sensitivity of heightened awareness. Right? અને પછી એ જો પગથિયા જે આવે છે પાછળથી પગલા, એ જો if it crosses the road, અને સામેની સાઈડ વયો જાય, right?
So this fear is correlates to the dreams also. Like I don't fear of like being alone as such, but in dreams I get like climbing of a mountain and suddenly I falling down, and I don't get up, but I fear in the dream. I realize, and some of the animals follow me and running. So is that the fear indicates?
What he said.
I didn't understand it. Sorry.
Dream is the one of the best ways to work with fear. And in my personal journey, I was able to overcome it not in ordinary observation. I was able to overcome it through the dream. So, you see, just one understanding. In the most, what can happen? થઈ થઈને શું થવાનું છે? Can you understand? In Gujarati we say થઈ થઈને શું થવાનું છે? Right? In the most, what can happen? Either the snake will bite me or the dog will bite me. I'll be in the hospital. And if the hospital can't take care of me, I'll be in the cremation ground. Right? And I visualize that. Okay, bhai, I'm already dead. Now what more can happen? Right? And that was one of the practices which I did for many years. It's like, initially, if somebody is driving very fast, I used to get very frightened. So instead of him pushing the brake, I would be sitting next to him and pushing the brake. Right? Then I realized that now just be free of this. So I would sit there and visualize, okay, the car has had an accident. I have 5-6 fractures. I am in the hospital. And this is the end of the matter. Now anything more than this can happen, nothing can. And then suddenly there's a calmness inside. So that is one way of working with fear. You will it away. But I remember in the dream, I was doing a lot of dream yoga at that time with Mr. Tavaria. And I was always frightened of dark spaces in the dream. So one day I just said that, okay, in the most, what can happen in the dream? In the most, what can happen? Get it? If the dogs are following you, right? In the most, or you're falling from the mountain, right? In the most, what can happen? You fall from the mountain, 10-15 bones are broken, right? Nothing, anything more? Nothing more can happen, right? So that relaxes you. And at that moment, from that dark space, one hand came and caught my hand and says, come, I'll take you. And then he took me into that dark space. After that, I've never felt frightened again. That was the end. At that moment, all the fear dropped. And it is only after that that you can experience the present moment. As long as there's fear, you cannot enter the present moment. So if you get another chance in your dream, just when the dogs are following you or you're, don't save yourself. Say in the most, what can happen, right? And let it happen. I'm ready for it. And go. Surrender to it. So So you will be free of fear. Be free of fear. ये बहुत सारी टेक्निक है स्वप्न के अंदर बहुत सारी टेक्निक है.
For kids, like I have a daughter, she's 5, and son is 9. Both are really terrified of going alone, even from one room to the other. And daughter was less scared, but seeing the son frightened, his brother, it's rubbed on to her. So what can we do for them? Because they have a full life ahead.
Yeah, so you make a meditation every day where you switch off all the lights. And you initially you catch their hand and take them through all the rooms of the house. Then after 5 or 10 days, stop catching their hand. After 5 or 10 days, tell them you have to follow me, but you have to keep a 2 feet distance. And as you practice this over 3 to 6 months, their fear will calm down a lot. But you have to pay your attention. Give your attention and do it. And it's the right time to do it. Because once they are free of darkness, then later on in life, worries don't come to such a person. He won't worry. It is that we keep them in light when they are children, then they worry when they are adults. And we don't realize that we are doing the wrong thing.
So my question is about how to distinguish between proactive planner for the life, or people have a lot of intelligence that they wanted to make their plan for the life. So how to distinguish between having a fear or having using intelligence and thinking that this is a way I'm going to create my life.
See, the planning brain is the lowest brain, the logical brain.
Okay.
Maybe you can say the superstitious brain is even lower, but you can't say. Sometimes those superstitions are very intuitive also, right? So whether at present we'll say that the logical mind is the most idiots of the mind, right? So we have to use it, right? But the logical mind cannot execute the plan which it has made. The execution has to be done by some other brain. So if the thinking brain makes a plan, then the emotional brain has to execute it. Right? Now, if the emotional brain is full of fear, it will never execute it. Right? Second thing, any plans we make, they must be based on ground realities. Some understanding. Right? So supposing I have a son and I have a daughter, the first understanding I have is I cannot change their destiny. Can you understand? If I say, okay, bhai, before I die, I want to leave 5 lakh rupees for my son and 5 lakh rupees for my daughter. Right? And I say that because I'm giving them 5 lakh rupees, they'll be safe for life. So I don't have to worry, I can die easily. Right? But does it work that way? Friend of mine, very good friend of mine, he died in COVID. And he was what do you call, expert at gold trading. You know, gold trading.
Yeah.
Now his boss, for whom he used to trade, had 3 shops in Dubai. So he was telling me that at any time we have 60 to 70 kilos of gold in, their, whatever, in their ornament, whatever is in their possession, right? And he says the international prices keep on fluctuating, right? So his only job was to keep on what do you call, arbitrating with the international prices so that they don't lose on the price of gold or they gain something by the end of the month. And he was very good at doing it. Right? Now, the boss had only one son. And the boss told him, you train this son in what you're doing. After 6 months, he told the boss, I can't train this person. It's not possible. Now, this big business in Dubai, 3 gold shops or whatever, jewelry shops or whatever you call it, the boss died accidentally, right? In 1 year, that son lost everything. Can you understand? Now, the father must have created 3 shops. I mean, it must have been a struggle of a lifetime. You don't just create 3 jewelry shops just like that. It must have been a struggle of a lifetime. And when he died, he must have been very happy. I'm handing this to my, what do you call, son. We cannot change our children's destiny. That we have to understand. Their destiny will take them where it has to take them. Right? So that is the most important thing. So when we plan, then we put that first. I cannot change his destiny. Now, you see, in the old days, the old people, they used to think of this in this way, that we cannot change his destiny. So they would create a will or something. And instead of giving all the property to the young children immediately, they would give it to a trust or this thing. Can you get it? Yeah. Of course, man's, what do you call, nature changes, right? So in the end, the child does not get anything, then the trustees take everything. Can you see? And it happens in so many instances. He's a lawyer, he'll tell you, right? The trustees take everything. So you try to get over this line, that I make a trust so it is safe for my children, but the child's destiny is going to take him where he has to go. Can you understand? And this we have to understand. This we have to understand. So whatever you do in life, always choose a middle path. Little bit of this, little bit of that. And don't make, what do you call, sacrifices out of identification. Right? Supposing today you have enough of money, then unless you enjoy that money, please understand, there's a difference between enjoyment and indulgence. Right? Enjoy the money, ras levu, what we call in Gujarati. That money is going to take revenge upon you. Can you understand? Right? Now, I have enough of money, but I'm crying for money. And money is wondering, okay, I'm given you enough, you be happy, and I'm crying. And she's noting down, she's a woman, she's not a man. A woman does not forgive. Understand this. Understand this. She's alive, but don't take her as something dead. She will never forgive. Like, I don't know, some things are difficult for me to explain in English, but in Gujarati we'll say, "Ej paisa no mane shrap lagi jai." It's okay. I don't know how to say this. The very money which I own will curse me only. Okay. So don't, arrange your affairs in such a way that the children have enough in emergency. But you don't have to promise the children a Mercedes car. You understand what I'm trying to say? That they have to earn for themselves. But you can put enough for the children. Okay, they have a Maruti car, because in the end, a car just takes you from one place to another place, whether it is a Maruti car or a Mercedes car. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? And always remember, you cannot fight destiny. You have to move with destiny. And when you move with destiny, then she allows you to turn her a little this way, turn her a little this way. Can you get it? But that is through conscious understanding of what destiny is. But if you go to fight with destiny, it's not possible. Similarly, use money with happiness. Use money with happiness. Never complain about money. She puts everything in her small notebook. You know, never say I have more than enough money. Yeah, I'm happy with what I have. I'm not asking for more, but I'm happy with what I have. Right? Never, what do you call, insult her in the sense make her lower. Can you get it? If somebody says, what is the price of this? I ask, I like this cup. What price is it? So this is 10 rupees. All right, only 10 rupees. Let's take it. Right? She feels hurt. And here, this was taught to me by Ram Dulare Babu when he was looking at that 1 rupee note and that 100 rupee note with the same love and affection. I realized at that moment what money was. Can you get what I'm trying to say? The minute I say, then I'm looking at a 1 rupee note different from a 100 rupee note. And money does not belong to us. It comes from something higher. So when something higher comes to us, we have to use it with worship, with appreciation, with gratitude, and always find the middle path. That simple example of Buddha, if the fist is closed or the fist is empty, but it has to be halfway. Halfway. Right? So if you have enough money, don't suffer for money. Don't suffer for money. Then it's then she is going to feel that this guy enjoys suffering for money. Now I'll show him when the right time comes. Can you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So treat her as a beautiful girl, right? You've just met her in college, right? And look after her properly. And she will pay you back 100 times. Second thing, money loves to flow. If you hold on to it, she doesn't like it. She feels she's getting raped. Can you understand? She loves to flow.
Okay.
And however much we hold on to it, if she wants to flow at the right time, she will flow to where she wants. Then she's not going to listen to us. Can you get it?
Right.
And it doesn't matter how much of money. How much of money. Right? I was reading this, what do you call the story recently of the two Ambani brothers. When they separated, the elder brother gave much more to the younger brother, plus 25,000 crore rupees cash he gave him in the bank.
Yes.
In last 10 years, that has vanished.
Yes.
If you count per day, how much of money he threw away, even if you smoke cigarettes in money. I mean, it's what a story it is. What a story it is. I'm unimaginable. Okay. Something, what did he do that money took this kind of revenge upon him? This kind of revenge. He must have not treated her well. He must have been blatant about her. I have only so much, let's do it. And she feels hurt. Then only so much is I have no much.
Right.
Can you see?
Yeah.
So be balanced in your approach to money. See how much of life expectancy you have. If you're 40 years old, 50 years old, how many years more, and live those years with enjoyment. I'm not saying live very luxuriously, but live comfortably. Live comfortably. Don't, at the cost of hoarding onto money, don't sacrifice your comfort. Don't sacrifice your comfort. Children will take care of themselves, right? You can put a little for the children, but otherwise they will take care of themselves. Their destiny is going to take them where it goes. And if their destiny is to gamble away all the money, they will gamble away all the money.
Thank you.
So, in my experience, I've observed that even before there is fear, it is preceded by strong dislike or irritation that I foresee that this is not going to turn up well. And maybe this has come from past experience, that there is intense dislike, and then I know that this is going to come, and then it turns into fear.
It's a very good observation, because all negative emotions start from dislike. Start from dislike. And Gurdjieff has a sentence, like what you dislike, like what it dislikes, what it dislikes. It means the machine. Like what it dislikes. The machine does not like to spend money, like what it dislikes. That does not mean you waste money. Can you get it? But like what it dislikes. Right. And if you see, dislike is the cause of all negativity in the world. If I like you, I'm not going to shoot you. Right? But if I dislike you, can you get it? So dislike is the prime, and that the very fact that you have observed it. So try to bring consciousness between the impression and the dislike. I don't want to dislike. Come to a state in life where you don't dislike anything. You may have preferences. I prefer this kind of food, but I don't dislike any other food. Can you understand? The minute you dislike any other food, that food is going to come to meet you. Can you get what I'm trying to say? So I prefer this, right? But I don't dislike any other food. I prefer these kind of clothes, but I don't dislike any other kind of clothes. Right? I had one uncle. He used to hate people in lungis. So once I came with some of my Osho friends. He says, I have no problem, but tell them not to come in a lungi. Can you understand? Now, dislike and the imaginary dislikes. Right. So, try to, what you call, because the very fact that you are able to observe dislike, bring consciousness at the point of dislike. And that'll bring a big transformation inside, very big transformation inside. Bolo.
Lot of questions.
Huh?
Lot of questions.
Lot of?
Questions.
Maybe this dislike point that you mentioned, it's a segue into one of the questions that was asked by Saurabh Parmar, who was here a couple of days back. And you'd mentioned about the Govardhan Parvat analogy and how it is related to expansion of the senses. So could you just elaborate on that?
How did that come with dislike?
You separate the instinctive and the emotional center. So you can say it's not pleasurable, but it's not dislike.
So that is the same thing which I was talking to him about, that if he's conscious at the point of dislike, right, then over a time he is able to feel uncomfortable about something, but he does not dislike it. If he sits on the chair over here, right, and the chair is a little, because it's plastic, it may have, melted a little, and he feels something poking him in the chair. So he feels uncomfortable, but he pauses at dislike. And then he brings in a new pathway that Whether the chair has a, what do you call this thing, but at least it is, I have a chair to sit. So I'm thankful for that. Can you see? And this is how we create the new pathway. Right. So, and the instinctive center has to tell us it is uncomfortable, comfortable, harmony, not harmony, because that is our protective shield in life that protects us in life. Right. So that is important, but we don't allow like and dislike. He can say, I prefer a better chair. So if another chair is empty, I will get up from this chair and go to that chair, or I'll exchange the chair. But even if there is no other chair, I'm still thankful that I have got a chair. Can you see? And that is the emotion. So the instinctive saying is uncomfortable. The emotion will mechanically say dislike. At that point, he brings in his consciousness, right? Does not allow the emotional to label dislike. And then he makes a new pathway for the negative emotion, right? And he makes a new pathway of gratitude that I have a chair to sit on, right? And I'm thankful for that. That is
There is a question from Samarjeet. Is deja vu related to fear or is it a dream?
See, I have a, what do you call, that sinus pot where I take steam, right? And the sinus spot has the bigger like and dislike than I have. Right? So I switch it on and it doesn't switch on. When I say the electricity has gone, the electricity is there, but it's not in the mood to switch on. Now I'll come for the talk and I'll go back, it'll switch on. Right? Sometimes electricity follows a loop, right? And it doesn't fire at the exact place we want it to fire, right? So in the brain, we are in a process of thinking. When we are thinking, the neurons are being fired. There's a movement of neurons in the brain. And sometimes there is an accident in the brain and the neurons start moving in a loop and we get a feeling of deja vu. It has nothing to do with anything real. It is the sinus spot has just changed its mood for some time, right? So it has nothing to do with anything real. It is just the neurons in the brain. They were supposed to fire in a certain direction, take us to a certain understanding, take us to a certain, a comprehension of something, whatever. Instead of that, they got blocked on the way and they're going round and round for some time. And it gives us a feeling of deja vu. It has nothing to do with anything in reality, right?
There's this question from Amit Raval.
Hmm.
Sir, how to retain self-observation during physical pain or suffering? Recently, I underwent operation, and before that, the pain was so intense, and any attempt to observe it or observe even the pain was failing. At some point, the mind just gives up any attempt to observe.
First of all, don't make any effort to observe physical pain. Please understand the science, Gurdjieff's science of observation. He's saying observe the many eyes, right? He's not saying observe the physical pain. Leave that to the Jains. They're expert at observing physical pain, right? You go to any Jain, they love to observe physical pain. right? Leave it to them. Right? It is not our cup of tea. The amount of pain which a Jain can take, we can't take 1/10 of that pain. Right? They are what do you call racially, what do you call genetically, racially, what do you call programmed to endure pain. Programmed to endure pain. So leave it to them. It has nothing to do with sadhana. It has nothing to do with your spiritual journey. Guruji is very clear what you have to observe. So don't bother about observing physical pain, take an aspirin and be free from it. Right? But if there is an I inside which is saying, I cannot observe physical pain, I cannot observe physical pain, and you get identified with that, I try to observe that I. Right? But this is not our cup of tea to observe physical pain. It may have been Christ's cup of tea, right? And leave it to them. We cannot copy what Christ did. We cannot, even it's Christmas, we can't copy what Christ did, right? So leave it to them. Guruji is very clear what has to be observed. Your mood, whether you're in a positive state or negative state, has to be observed, right? Then you have to observe the many eyes. You have to observe the movement of the impression to the which eye. That movement of the impression, it is a pathway in the brain, which is what you call a habit. That is called an association. So he says the impression goes to this eye because through a mechanical association, it goes through this eye. So you observe whether you're in a positive state, a negative state. You then observe which eye is giving you that, how this impression is moving to that eye. That eye lives in the centers. The centers have three parts. Which part of the centers is this eye living in? And how are my centers functioning? Is there right functioning of centers, wrong functioning of centers, and how to bring the centers into harmony? That is the whole pathway of self-observation. Guruji is not saying stick a nail in your hand and observe the pain. Right? And when you have to have an operation or when you have physical pain, you can try a little to observe it, but better you take an aspirin and continue your observation of the inner eyes inside. Right? I used to know one Jain guru and very nice person, beautiful person. And then when he got cancer, and as you know, he said that I won't take any medicine, won't take anything. And then the pain became so much, but he wouldn't take a single thing, and he would roll himself on the ground for hours and hours just to be free of the pain. And I was wondering, why do you this thing? Just take a what do you call painkiller and sit in meditation. But sometimes, you know, our ideas of spirituality are so stupid. So stupid, right? So we have to understand, right? Without understanding, we can't progress on this path. So understand why you're doing something, right? So tell him to take a painkiller, and now you get beautiful patches. You know, just take the patch and relax inside, relax the muscles. Do yoga nidra. Don't observe physical pain. He has not talked about that. Bolo.
આપણને જ્યારે ફિઝિકલ પેઇન વધારે હોય અને આપણે જે કરીએ એ વખતે તો એ એસેન્સમાં જાય.
It's very good. Very nice, this thing. Tell him that when there's physical pain, forget self-observation, practice 3-step rhythmic breathing. Keep the music on and tell him with the pain, you keep on practicing rhythmic breathing. Then the what you call habit of rhythmic breathing will go into the essence. So whatever we do when we are suffering, not just physical suffering, physical suffering, emotional suffering, psychological suffering, whatever we do at that time, that becomes permanent. And that is why Christ decided to die on the cross, because he had so much consciousness, but he wanted to make that consciousness permanent. But that was for him. That experiment is not for us. That experiment is not for us. But if you get a fever, you get pain, right? Don't try to observe it. You can practice 3-step rhythmic breathing, right? And the what you call pattern of 3-step rhythmic breathing will become more powerful because you're practicing it in pain. You're practicing it in pain.
Yeah, suppose if sometimes it happens that we are in pain, like despite all the medicines and everything that you can take, right? Like there is no other option. So at that time, like say if we observe pain, so wouldn't that be like a good practice to say, like see how attached I am to the body? Like if it helps me get over the attachment to the body.
Definitely, if it helps you. Definitely. I know this much. My body doesn't take physical pain, so I take an aspirin.
That is true, but sometimes it
I don't realize the necessity for that. I don't realize the necessity for that.
like sometimes it happens that you can take even like 2 aspirins, but it does
And
not.
then observe. It happens because I get a sinus headache and no pill works for that. Then I just observe it and let it be. The thing is not to complain about it, not to react about it, not to say that this has happened. Just it's there and you accept it and you move on.
And sometimes like it also like when it happens with me, I feel like if I keep on observing it, it's just like happening and I'm not attached to it. So it
See that your muscles are relaxed.
Hmm.
Keep relaxing the muscles, observe the pain and move on. I had an accident about 6 years ago in America. So the whole face was swollen up, right? And they took me in an ambulance to the hospital and all that. And then in the evening, I had a talk. With a swollen face, I went to the talk. The pain, right? I didn't need to observe the pain. It's there. And what can you do about it? You take 1 or 2 painkillers and you go ahead. Right? But should be no complaining about it. And you can sense it and try to separate from it. You see, all these experiments for separating from physical pain, they have to start from childhood. Right? If I say at this age, I want to separate from physical pain, it's stupidity. But if I practiced from childhood, and then I may reach a state where I'm 20, 25, where whatever I do with the body, I don't feel pain. I separate from the pain. But at this age, for anyone to practice, take an aspirin. Right? You can try it still. You're still young. If you want pain, get married. No fuss. Why? Or we'll find somebody who will keep a foot ruler in her hand also. We tell him, "Bhai, he's getting married for physical pain. You please understand." See, it doesn't mean you have to get married to a beautiful 35, 25, 35 girl. You can get married to a bodybuilder. If you want physical pain. Right? Yeah.
There is a trend amongst most people around that whenever people have a little bit of stress in the mind, the doctors prescribe them a medicine. Now, most of the people who are even young, maybe even 7 years younger than me, are on these permanent medication. And it's like he says, I'm taking it since 5 years and I feel fine with it and I can do everything. So is it fine for these kind of things if he says I can't bear the neurosis or I can't bear the anger which arises in the mind, and they're not doing the practices, the regular the genre around. So is this fine that they are just
It's very difficult to say if they had not taken the medicine, what the result would be. Right? As somebody was telling me now, say I have a sinus problem. So sometimes when I'm traveling and all, it gets acute. I take a what you call antihistamine at night when I go to bed. But then I meet someone, a young boy of 17, 18, who the doctor in America has been prescribing antihistamines for the last 3 years continuously.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? And I'm shocked he's drinking ice water from the fridge. Right? And so this is the way modern medicine works. Now, I don't know, but I would not accept it that way. I would use it as an emergency. That antihistamine, I would use it as an emergency that tomorrow I have to do this and better I get rid of the sinus at night. Right? But it happens, these things happen, and people get addicted to these. Thing is that if the parents can see a little, in childhood, they know what kind of diseases is going to come to this child. Can you understand? And there are herbal ways that, you give this medicine for 1 year or something, where the child does not get that when it grows up. Can you get what I'm trying to say? And that is right parenting, right parenting.
Rajan, you mentioned yesterday we pay back to nature by having kids. How? You mentioned yesterday talk that we pay back to nature by having kids.
So?
How do we do that? Like
by having kids, if you want, you can have 5 to 6 more. Huh?
I mean, why do we pay back to nature and what's the process like?
See, you have to see on 2 levels at the same time. There are so many souls wanting to take birth. Right? Now, you will decide to go for family planning, only 1 child. But what happens to that soul which wants to take birth? Then that soul will have to take birth in some other place, where that person may not be able to provide him the right education, the right facilities which you can provide. Can you understand this? Now, you have got everything free of charge. You breathe, your 5 senses are working properly, your parents gave you an education, you're able to earn your bread and butter properly in life, right? So things have gone for you properly, but you have to allow somebody else to, then it is paid. Otherwise, how do you pay back? How do you pay back? You tell me. Right? Or you rise in consciousness, then that is a different way of paying back. Right? So you say, I don't want to get married, I don't want to have children, but then you have to go to the other side, rise in consciousness. Now, people meet me and they say, we don't want to have children. Why don't you want to have? We just want to enjoy life. Go to the club, drink, have a good meal, go to the golf course, play golf, etc. and be happy and enjoy life. And maybe they have enough of means to enjoy life the way they want. But they don't realize at another level there's somebody who needs that means. Can you get it? Here, if you see that somebody needs the means, maybe you'll make a donation of 100 rupees. But how do you make a donation over there? Can you get it? So you have to allow that person to give birth. You have to see in Christianity, they call it the balance of good and evil. And there is a balance of negativity. We forget good and evil, forget Christianity, right? But we just say in the world, there is a balance of positive and negative. Now, if somebody you're giving a right education, right understanding, right parenting, then the balance goes in the favor of positivity, right? I'll tell you one thing, that I was in Panama for 1 week teaching these exercises. Right? So on the first day, one Spanish nun came. And she attended my class. Next day, early in the morning, she was there. And she says, what time is your class? So I said, class is in the evening. Okay, you spend the day with me. So she would take me through the slums of Panama. Now, if you see Panama, one side is what do you call, beautiful city like Miami. It is called the second Miami. But when you go to the slums, Dharavi looks like a luxury home. Can you get it? So bad it is, so bad. And the stink. And she would take me in these slums, gather children, now teach them the exercises. Right? And I went through all those slums. There is no toilet facilities. Right? And I don't know, because at least I would say with the Indian mind, whether the Indian slums, the Indian mind, even though there is crime, you cannot compare it to the crime over there. Like murder is what you call, it doesn't mean anything. Here, at least, I would say in the Indian slums, if somebody has to be murdered, there would be a planning, there would be a thinking. Can you get what I'm trying to say? Now, those children, on the third or fourth day, I told her, I can't, it's beyond my energy to, I can't take any more of these impressions. It's much beyond me to take these impressions, right? But what I'm trying to say is that somebody here must have said, I don't want to have a child. That is why that child went over there. Eh? Can you understand? So when we have children, and having children means with responsibility, not just creating a cricket team or something, right? With responsibility that you can sacrifice for the child, you can, educate the child, you can give the right understanding to the child, right? Then it is, we are paying nature back. We are paying nature back. But if you don't want to have children, then don't do it just for living a life of luxury. Do it for rising in consciousness. Then you pay back in a different way. You pay back in a different way. Right? But otherwise, Tawadiyaji always said, you must have a normal life and have at least 1 or 2 children. Right? Because otherwise they will go to those streets of Panama. Right? And maybe at 5 years, they would be murderers already, know how to wield a knife and do everything.
My second question is how to not become the victim of feminine domination.
Are you a victim of feminine? See, where do we need to say no? Where do we need to say no? And that it requires a certain intelligence within us, right? So I'm living in society. I'm having relationship with so many people, my friends and etc. And I have to find the balance between yes and no, right? He'll say, you come to my house for lunch. And I'll say, if I go, am I giving in to feminine dominance? I don't want to go. But then again, I value his friendship, right? So you can't just say being a victim or not being a victim of feminine dominance. And again, feminine dominance was not coined by Gurdjieff, not even coined by Ouspensky. It's been coined by people down the line, right? So my idea is you have to develop an intelligence to move through life. Sometimes you allow a little bit of feminine dominance. Sometimes you don't allow it. Can you get what I'm trying to say? I don't agree with this feminine dominance completely. Right? So the teacher who has coined this word, this phrase, feminine dominance, he started it, he said for 1 year he won't meet anyone. Now that is his way of relating to people, right? For me, and he didn't meet anyone, just to be free of feminine dominance. I say that is a very obstinate way of doing things. I'm not criticizing the teacher, he has his own path or whatever, right? It's a very obstinate way of doing things. If somebody needs my help and I say, I have decided I won't meet anyone for 1 year, it doesn't go with me. I would rather be a victim of feminine dominance, right? So, where to say no in life, it requires a very higher, what do you call, intelligence, a very higher capacity to decide this way or that way. And you cannot always be right also, in spite of, pondering upon it, right? But these kind of things that 1 year I won't meet anyone and be free of feminine dominance, they stink of obstinacy. They stink of obstinacy. So I wouldn't go for that, right? Now, the example they give for feminine dominance, right, is that you're going in a car somewhere and there's this, what do you call, car which has a puncture on the roadside. And there's this beautiful girl on the car like this. So you definitely stop your car and you will help her, right? But if you're going in your car and my car is punctured and I sit like this, goodbye, you will go away, right? So now, in one way, I can call it feminine dominance. I'll say, I appreciate beauty, right? And I'm willing to sacrifice if I have to go for an urgent meeting, maybe half an hour, to help her with the puncture, right? So it doesn't stick with me, this thing, feminine dominance. It doesn't stick with me, feminine dominance. This teacher has coined the word and his disciples have written about it. And somehow, I don't know, right? There is internal considering, right? There's internal considering. So, but if there's just appreciation for beauty, there's no internal considering, right? If there is, I have to reach in time. So I will say no. It's important I reach in time. I say no, then it's okay. Then I'm not big. Then it doesn't mean I'm not become a victim of feminine dominance. It is just my understanding of this situation. Right? Right. Can you get it?
Yeah.
Now you see Ketav and Yani. Ketav does everything so beautifully for Yani. So one way you can, if you look through, you'll say feminine dominance. It's not feminine dominance, right? It's a dance of life. It's a dance of life, not feminine dominance, right? It's that beauty in saying yes to everything. You know, Osho had a beautiful phrase, yes, Bhagwan, yes. No need of no in your life. No need of no in your life. But some of these Gurdjieffian teachers, they come and I don't know, they mess up everything. Yeah. They mess, and they coin these terms called feminine dominance. Right. The beauty of discipleship is to say yes in every situation. How does a disciple say no? He accepts life every moment as it is. If somebody's come to meet you, he's come to meet you. You can explain, I'm a little tired. Do you mind coming tomorrow? That's a different thing. I won't meet anyone for 1 year. Why? Because I'm a victim of feminine dominance. This doesn't, what do you call, doesn't give a good taste in the mouth.
Actually, that Gerard, the case that you're talking
Bishop.
So that is just like one. That is just like one case of feminine dominance. He defines feminine dominance as like planets, they rotate in their orbit, so they cannot move out of it. So for someone who is used to saying yes, saying no is feminine dominance, but there are people who just say no to everything. So for them to say yes, that would be a feminine dominance. So it's not like just the practice of saying yes, as I understood. It's like whatever you're used to doing, like you move in the same orbit. So you basically try to free yourself from that. You don't even try to free, you just observe because.
But why do you want to change your orbit? Why not bring consciousness?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's
why
what
not bring consciousness?
Yeah.
If the planets are moving in orbit, enjoy the beauty of the planets moving in orbit. Why do you want Saturn to go out of its orbit and do something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what he's saying. Like then you don't.
It's a very stupid thing. Very stupid thing.
He does not say like to come out of it. He says like to observe because that's the part
To observe it. Yeah, observe it. And like Ketav enjoys it, enjoy it. Yeah. We better find a bodybuilder for you here. Then we'll write notes on feminine dominance.
So we can say that this is a one way to look at the observe external internal considering.
Huh?
It's a good way to observe internal considering.
Yeah. The original term is internal considering, and of internal considering is identity. Right? See, everybody is male, everybody is female. In this moment, do I allow the inner male to be dominant, or do I allow the inner female to be dominant? Or do I bring some intelligence and balance the two? Somebody is angry on me, it is male. Right? So I have to allow the inner female to be dominant. So there's no conflict. I absorb the anger. Right? Right? Or if I say, oh, the inner female is dominating me. Right? So, I mean, I don't go by that term, that feminine dominance. To me, it seems that somewhere they've taken a wrong path, that feminine dominance. And if you have the intelligence each moment to see whether you're in male energy or in female energy, and this present moment, does it require male energy or does it require female energy? Then you will coin another term, male dominance. Right? It's been happening for thousands of years. Right? Male dominance.
I think the term that is like for the absence of that intelligence.
Right.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
So these days, I mean, couples are very much self-sufficient, they're not dependent on each other in various packets of life. But I still feel, if I need to, reduce or remove emotional dependence on the spouse, how do we do that in this challenging environment?
See, let us just the spiritual effort and the personality effort. The spiritual effort is always to observe. The personality effort is, I want to be free of this, which can never be free. By fighting, I can never be free. Can you understand? So if I want to really walk on the path of spirituality, the first step is acceptance that maybe I'm emotionally dependent upon someone. Now, why I'm emotionally dependent, the cause could be lying somewhere, right? But I don't know the cause. I don't have the consciousness to see the cause. But I say, I don't want this, right? So then now it is, it's a, what do you call, useless fight. Can you understand? The same person who has this is saying, I don't want this. The same ego which has this is saying, I don't want this. Can you understand? But when you're observing, when are you emotionally dependent? Right? And if you observe that over a long period of time, 2 years, 3 years, then it goes away. Now, being emotionally dependent upon a person can be positive also, and it can be negative also, right? Two people get together, they can create a beautiful painting also, and they can make conflict also, right? So, now sometimes in some marriages that one person holds the, what you call, purse strings, the money strings, and the other person say, I don't want to be what do you call, this thing, dependent upon this person for money. Right? And these things don't happen overnight. These things don't happen overnight. Right? And what I would tell you, observe and use your cunningness to extract more money. Right? You get what I'm trying to say? Give you an example. In, I think 2008, the, what do you call, that demonetization, it came in which year? 2008? Huh? 16. 16. Right? So, I was in Mumbai for some work, and by the last cash I had, I paid to the rickshaw fellow, right? And then I went to my flat, and what I had was only those notes which were, so I had no money to buy food, nothing. So I called up a friend, so you can loan me some money. So he said, I'm in office, you call my wife. So I called his wife. She said, you come over. And she was also concerned about the demonetization. So she was emptying her cupboard. Now they must have been married because they have children which are 30 years old or so. So we'll count they are married for 30 or 32 years or 35 years. Right? And she, from her house expenses, because she never earned any, whatever her husband gives her, or whatever she must have been able to extract from her house expenses. And she's showing me, okay, by this demonetization has come, what do I do with all this money? Right? which he has collected over the years, right? So don't just be dependent, be more dependent. So when the demonetization comes, you can call me, I take some of this. I don't know what to do with it. But Sindhi bhaiya hai, yeah, it's difficult. Difficult. Right? So you have to learn the knack. Now you're dependent. Now use your dependency positively. In the morning, tell him how beautiful he is, how nice he is, how this thing is, right? And how yesterday you got a lollipop for him, right? And then say, can you just give me 1,000 rupees? I have to do this, right? Then use 200 out of that, keep 800 in the cupboard for demonetization. But the fact is that I am dependent. The fact is, and this cannot go overnight, right? So just understand it and observe it slowly. As you observe it, it becomes what you call the strings get loose, the chains get loose, right? And in that observing, this new intelligence will come. How to make a fool of this Sindhi guy, right? It's a big achievement, much better than a PhD, huh? If you can make, right? And in the end, spirituality is all about the new intelligence, the new intelligence. Yaha naha diyo prachodayat. We tell that Gayatri Mantra, please awaken my intelligence. If the husband is awakening the intelligence through dependency, use it. Awaken it. Why do the Gayatri Mantra then? Huh? Bolo.
Rajan, what about people who are not able to have children? So they would want to adopt. There are a lot also. There are also a lot of people who are not able to have children. Would it be just and fair that they adopt? Or is there some mental thing against adoption? Nahi karni?
Mr. Tawaria was totally against adoption. But still in society, we have to see so many things. We have to use our own intelligence. If by adopting a child, we can provide something to that child, which normally would otherwise go to Panama. Right? So somewhere you have to balance all this. It's very difficult to come to a fixed rule about this. My problem is that sometimes I see beyond. And whenever I see these adoptions, I have seen beyond, and that happens after 15 years, 20 years. And in one or two cases, it has happened. And then I remember Mr. Tawaria when he said, don't adopt. So I don't know in this situation if any fixed answer can be given. This is his answer that he was against adoption. He says you're interfering in karma. But then you see a child and you realize that is it possible to give this child something? But then you see, you have to also take into consideration that so many sanskars have been carried forward. And those sanskars at some time is going to express in that child. And how are you going to balance all this? Right? So it's a very difficult answer. But what he did tell me was that if a person does not have a child, then they should spend time every week or so, go to a nursery school or something and play with children. And then they will be free of that current. That is the way to be free of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll close down. Close shop.
Sum up Gayatri.
Yeah, Gayatri. We do the Gayatri mantra.